Noticed that.
Mics are going live.
Oh,
Okay. That's good to know, thank you.
county maybe a bit
Occasionally a granddaughter. Much effort.
Morning. Hey, I don't know if this is true, because I want to water, because they're starting to look fast here, but is it true if I water them and it's anything will hurt them?
The Berry County Board of Commissioners Committee, the whole meeting for June 4th,
I might water it
2024.
tonight
If you would
then.
please stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Reports from state and county officials. Are there any state or county officials that would like to give an update to the board this morning? Hearing none. Public comment, limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Good morning, board.
Good morning.
So, part of my routine, for the previous 12 years was to come here every Tuesday, and then I quit doing that. So, it's good to be back. Quickly, I'm just here to express my support for what this board is doing, specifically for my county commissioner, Mike Colton.
Test. Yeah, specifically, I'd like to express my support for what this board is doing and for my county commissioner, Mike Colton. Over the past couple of years, you guys have done incredible things that we tried to do during my time on the board, but we weren't successful in doing it. So under your leadership, the county is fiscally more strong, and we have a new COA coming for this county, which is great. And I know Mike has been a great part of that. So he's been a true leader in our community. I just wanted to express my support. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ben. Good to see you again. Additional public comment?
Good morning. My name is Tom Gibbons, and I live on Podunk Lake. And we had an opportunity to share some ideas at our township board meeting the other day. And we all felt somewhat uncomfortable with some of the things that were said. But yet, I think it's important for the commission to know that the dam we're talking about today is a very small dam. It's about 2 foot high. And that's if it washes out completely. It's been there for decades, and we don't think it poses any undue risk to the public downstream at all. And what is downstream is farmland. So just to keep it in perspective, we're not dealing with a huge dam that's going to create a public nuisance whatsoever, okay? We did hear a lot of good ideas at that meeting. A lot of us were there to be informed and try to get an understanding of what's going on and what all this means. And I think we got that, okay? And I leave you with the thought that I, for one, respect each and every one of you, what you do for the board. I know it's not an easy job, and I know you don't get enough praises anyway, okay? But I thank you for what you do today. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Additional public comment? Hearing none, we will move ahead with our agenda. Drain Commissioner Jim Dahl.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thanks for putting us back on the agenda. Commissioner Tunis and I went to the Rutland Township meeting. He got a hold of me and said, hey, can you show up there? They got questions, concerns. So we went to it. It was a really good meeting. First and foremost, Larry Watson said, thank you to the Commissioners, especially Bob. I know Bob don't like that, but anyway, so the people seem to be on board with us being his delegated authority. There were a lot of questions. The one lady said, why wasn't this done in the past? I said, we're trying to get everything in our office legal according to the law, so, but they approved it. Their question, one of the big things, is this going to be a drain district? And I said, no, lake levels are under 307, drain districts are under drain code, totally different animal. Not that it can't be in the future. If somebody petitions us to make that a drain, which if you look through the books, it does reference a podunk drain, which is the creek that comes out of there. But as far as I'm concerned, nobody's got a problem out there, so. But I did explain to him there'll be a couple other questions that we need to clarify answers down the road, which I can come back at some time and we'll bring it up. The cost at this time to have the inspection, which legally we have to get done, is going to be minimal. I'm assuming the commissioners are okay with paying for that right now, so we can get that done this year. That was one of the questions.
$1,500?
Yeah, somewhere in the neighborhood. We might have, Jack Longstreet owns the area. I'll get a temporary signature that we can come on his property to inspect it, so I don't think there'll be a cost there. So yeah, I'm guessing somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,500. The other thing is, in the future going forward, whether the commissioners want to petition the courts to set up a special assessment district. Doesn't have to be, but there's pros and cons to everything. When the Gun Lake Dam failed, they couldn't put in a new dam until they had the special assessment district, which took about 2 years, and I don't think the people would be real happy with that. This one is according to the old inspections, is in good shape. But a lot of dams in the state are in good shape until they're not. Crystal Lake Dam failed. Canterbury we're struggling with that one. Everybody knows of the Midland crisis that, they were working on getting it drawn down to fix it. DEQ wouldn't allow them to, and that one failed and took out 3 other dams. This one is not as far as I can see, no threat to anything downstream. So just something to keep in your mind. So,
Okay.
all righty.
Who owns the dam?
We haven't even dug into that. Yeah, it's the same deal that Gun Lake had way back when. They found out actually it was a county that owned it because it was set through a lake level. I believe this one would be, it's under county jurisdiction because it was petitioned through the courts, so legally the county's responsible for it. But because there's no easement, it gets a little ticklish. We can do quick legal on it and get an opinion on it if you want, and to say yep, but my guess is they'll come back and say it's the county's dam, even though they don't own the property that it sits on.
So it's private property, the dam sits on private property, but we don't know who owns it. It goes under a lake level, part 307, which you're saying there's no special assessment district, so you're requesting that the commission pay the $1,500 for the initial inspection.
Yep.
So what if that dam needs cost, repairs, updates, something in the future?
That's where the special assessment district comes in. If it were to fail tomorrow, The process would be to go set a special assessment district and then move forward with plans to fix it.
Are you sure we can use county funds to pay for a dam that we don't know that we own, that we're legally liable, or that we're liable for?
I
mean,
can- I
Are we
can check.
paying money for somebody else's dam that we can't just hand out taxpayer dollars?
Right. When you read the way 307 is set up, is once the lake level is set, the county is to maintain it in good shape. So I would, around in a curve, basically it says the county's going to have to pay for it unless they set up a special assessment district.
And in the meeting, you felt there was some consensus that you should be the delegated authority, or the Drain Commission
Yeah.
office should be the delegated
Yeah,
authority on this?
they didn't know why I even brought it up. I said, well, because we never were spelled out as delegated authority, and that leaves a big opening there to me.
Rutland wanted to discuss this a little more in depth, I believe anyways, Rutland
Yeah.
Township.
Yep. They're the ones that brought it to Bob's attention, and then some of the people came in to just make sure everything was up on the level, so.
Bob, you were at that meeting?
Yeah, I was. I think the biggest question is obviously who's going to pay this inspection fee, and also whether for future, if something were to happen, it would be set up into a special district going forward. That was the two major questions.
Okay. So you're asking us today to recommend to the Board of Commissioners adoption of this resolution that makes you the delegated, or the drain office, the delegated authority?
Correct.
Okay. Questions from Commissioners? Commissioner Smelter?
Can you tell me how many dams are inspected in Berry County through the county that we pay for?
I think that what?
That we pay for the inspection?
That you guys, none that I know of other than this one. Jordan Lake has a special assessment district, Gun Lake has one. The Orangeville Township Dam doesn't have a legal lake level, so therefore the county's not required to have the inspection, and so we've kicked it back, and Eagle does the inspection on that one out of their own pockets now. The Long Lake one has a special assessment district, though we haven't assessed it yet. Cloverdale will have its own. Pleasant and Mud Lake will have its own. I'm trying to think of any that the county pays for. I don't know of any.
Commissioner Getty?
Do you know if there's any public access? Am I on? Any public access on Podunk?
No.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner Tennyson.
According to the treasurer out at Rutland, she felt the counties paid this from day one. That was the board's argument as to not set up a special drain district, was that the county has paid this from the conception of when it was put into this till now. So that's why Jim's mentioned that fact. Is that
How long has the dam been there?
1957.
1957, okay. I've seen it, as was pointed out by Tom, it's a very small dam. It's
Yep.
not going to be catastrophic if it fails, but,
No.
you know.
But the lake would be completely empty though, if it does fail.
Well, and the thing is, with Eagle/DEQ and the way they're operating now, if it fails, then the county would be on the hook for any wetland mitigation until it got put back.
Okay.
That's the biggest fear I have. It ain't the structure or flooding downstream. Well, it could, they overtop, it's like the Irving Dam, it overtopped the edge and took out the whole bank, and that one took a year to replace, and that's privately owned. It just the way it works, so.
Okay. I'm not opposed to this because it's $1,500 as far as getting an inspection done that's being required for us to do. I would like to establish ownership to see if this is actually ours.
Okay.
And if most of these are done through special assessment districts. Gun Lake that wasn't $1 million, what was it? 300, 400,000 to do that dam?
If that, most of the cost on that was illegal trying to figure out who owned it. I mean, he spent 2 years. Joe Kalani went through a lot of records.
Okay. Mr. Getty?
Is there a lake association?
Would you repeat that question, please?
Is there a lake association, not the yacht club, but the,
We just,
Gosh, I wish I could hear you, but
I wanted to know if there was a lake association on Podunk. There isn't, is there?
there never has been. Bruce Edger started Podunk Lake Yacht Club and moved away. I took it over because Podunk is such an unusual name. So I had a bunch of shirts printed up to give out. I have one of the best boat launches on Podunk Lake. I let anybody that lives on Podunk Lake and use my boat launch. They know the combination of the lock, that kind of stuff. We used to have picnics on that lot, but there never was a lake association.
Okay.
And then people started getting grumpy, and then the picnics went away. But I still let anybody that lives on Podunk Lake and use my boat launch.
Okay.
And I'm sorry I have to refer to him, but he, typically on these lakes, the lake people know a hell of a lot more than we do.
Okay.
We know how to get inspections done, so.
All right, additional questions from commissioners? Commissioner Doster?
It looks like, so this was supposed to have been inspected in 2021,
Correct.
and it's 2024, what?
Yeah.
What
When
happened?
in 2021, they reached out to us to have the inspection done, and I told Thomas, I said, we don't have any record of a legal lake level, on this lake, therefore we're not liable for it. And he kind of went back and forth on emails. Well, this last year, when he asked me, I said, you show me a signed judge's order that we're on the hook, and we'll be tickled to death to the inspection. And he sent me one. It was not signed. It was proceedings. So then I asked, it did come from 57, so I asked Sarah Vandenberg down in the clerk's office, can you do some research and tell me if this is legal? And she found the signed copy and give it to me, and it is in the packet. So that made it so we have to have the inspection done once there's a legal lake level. The 307 is pretty clear that it's on the county. That also, they're supposed, at that time, the special assessment district should have been set up, but a lot of these things don't get completed.
Okay.
Well, looking at the emails that you provided, it looked like from Eagle sent an email regarding that you'd been inspecting it at least since 77, and that the County Drain Commission has been considered the designated authority for the inspections.
Correct.
So everyone else has been doing it up to that point.
Yes, and we had done it in 18 until we found out we didn't have any court orders showing it. We went through the records, and it's like I say, there's a lot of things in our office that were done, but they don't follow the law. And they were inspecting Orangeville Dam from the time Tom Doyle came in till I came in, and there's no legal lake level. There's nobody to pay the assessment. The county is not on the hook to pay it. Tom sent the bill to Tom Rook, and the township said, we're not liable to pay this. So I'm just trying to clean all this stuff up, so when I'm gone, dead and gone, people can say, okay, yep, this is the way the law says, this is what needs to be done, and this is what has been done.
Okay, so you're asking specifically for $1,500?
No, I'm not. I'm asking to be delegated authority.
Okay.
And we will order the inspection. When I talk to the engineer, he's expecting it will be $1,500 or less.
Okay, and you're not going to add the attorney fees or any costs, you've already expended costs as well, probably.
We've asked to see what's clear, yes. If I have to pay that out of 804, we'll do that.
Okay.
I don't really want to, because this is more of a lake thing. And like I said, explained to the people at the Portland Lake thing, I would expect that the cost of all this would be on the lake residents. They're the ones that get the benefit. It's hard for me to want to pay my taxpayer dollars to pay for somebody else's legal lake level, though there is the argument that because the lake is there and the taxes are considerably higher, that is a benefit to the county, that, you're paying, 5.8 0.86 mils, Michael, on the assessment? Isn't that the,
No, well, 5.6, I think. it's-
okay, yeah, somewhere real close to that. So, there's an argument that the county does make more money because the lake is there. And I would expect over time, that's more than the inspection cost.
Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Jameson?
One of the residents has a question.
Oh, I was just, he pointed out what I was going to say, that you did approve an inspection in 2018.
Correct, yep.
Oh,
Yep.
that was-
We've spent a lot of time going through records. My previous deputy said, well, this office really didn't worry too much about legal stuff for a long time. That was her synopsis of it, which, when you go through the records, you find out that a lot of the stuff was, well, it was just done. So, and I'm not comfortable with that. That puts the county at risk, that puts our office at risk. I'd rather have the law to back me up on everything.
Okay. Yes.
So on this 5.6 mils, but all the other lakes around pay that same thing, right?
Correct, yes.
That has the specials.
Yep.
Okay, if there are no further questions, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners adoption of Resolution 24-13, a resolution to delegate authority for maintenance of the lake level of Podunk Lake.
So moved.
Support Campbell. Motion by Hatfield, support by Campbell. To recommend to the Board of Commissioners adoption of Resolution 24-13, a resolution to delegate authority for maintenance of the lake level of Podunk Lake. Additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
If you'd like, I can email all the commissioners a copy of the 307 that calls out that once a special assessment district, or the legal lake level set, that the county is on the hook for it, if that would help. Might make it easier to put in the notes.
Okay.
So, all right, thanks, guys.
Please copy our clerk in on that as well. So she's got that for the records.
Yep, can do. Thank you. Have fun.
Next up, Jeff Hall. I knew he was in there somewhere. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Commissioners. So this morning I come before you to request funds for a new chiller. The chiller is the main cooling component for this building and the annex building. It's 23 years old. We've kept it running for the last, 23 years, but I mean, the last few years have been a little tougher. And then a couple weeks ago, we lost one of the compressors. There's only two. So we're at 50% capacity on this chiller and the cooling for this facility. We've had some decent weather, but we start getting in the 80s, like we are today, we'll start noticing some things. Now, options. I can throw a new chiller in there for a new compressor in there for $25,000. Well, it's 23 years old, right? And what says that chiller 2 or compressor 2 is not going to fail? So I mean, I just don't think that's a good option, but it's there. My recommendation is to replace the chiller. We've got 3 quotes here. You read the packet. I do want to clarify on one of those quotes, the Andy J. Egan quote. There was $215,000 plus it was $49,000. That $49,000 was just for the pump skid package, because I was going to phase this originally and do the pump skid package, but then since this compressor failed, that kind of expedited things a little bit, so I didn't take that off there, so that was my bad. So it's not $215,000 plus $49,000. So if you look at the numbers of the $209 from Hearst, the $214 from Quality Air, and $215 from Egan. Now, the other thing is, on back to the compressor, we want to throw it in there. That's a special build because it's no compressor. It's a 65-day lead time, so we wouldn't get that for a couple months anyway. The caveat is who can get us a chiller? That's the tough thing, right? Now, Egan had one, and then in this quote states that, but then that went away. As of this morning, Egan thinks they have another one. The rest of them do not have one right now. If you look on that packet, anywhere from 18 to 30-week lead time on a chiller. So the big deal is, listen, we can keep going and hedge our bets and say, can we make it at 50% capacity for the cooling season? But if we don't, and something happens to the other compressor, now we're talking about a rental chiller. I know I'm throwing a lot of information in quickly, but I'll open it up for questions here. But a rental chiller is just basically set a chiller in the parking lot, pipe it in, that's like $15,000 a month. So, I mean, it's a little bit tricky because now we're in cooling season, right? So we need this to keep, our employees and the customers we serve, comfortable and everything. So that's kind of a quick synopsis, if you will. I'll open it up to questions.
So you're saying even if we approve this, the time frame for getting the work done may actually be months?
Well, yeah, it could be. But again, as of this morning, I call these guys every morning, as of this morning, again, the Andy J. Egan Company thought they had a chiller in Texas that they could get here. So if that's the case, then they can, we can get it going here in the next few weeks, right? But if not, then I'm going to somehow hope we can keep that chiller running at half capacity until the cooling season is over. So that's the tricky, that's why I didn't specify a particular contractor. As I said in there, I think they're all capable. But, and for that, for that $5,000, $6,000 difference on a $200,000 project, who can get us a chiller? It's a tough game out there to procure that type of equipment, the larger equipment. So.
Do we do inspections on this?
Oh, yeah, yep.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we got a rebate last year from consumers when we do inspection. They give us rebates, and so, we try to do preventive maintenance. But again, 23-year-old piece of equipment, the life of those things are anywhere between, 20 and 30 years on something like that. It's an air handler, a chiller, or something like that. But to your point, preventive maintenance is a big deal. It's something I'm very passionate about, to take care of it. Some people buy a new car and they'll say, all I have to do is put gas in it, right? No, you got to put gas and oil, and you got to, get it tuned up, and you got to keep it, anything you buy. And so that's a big part of the investment. If you're going to put a, investment like this, you want to make sure that you have a program, a robust program to take care of it. So.
Yeah. So and I'm not an HVAC guy, specialist, anything like that. So it sounds like from reading the quotes that they're redoing the entire system, the piping, the infrastructure.
Yeah, so exactly, all that is the same age, and if you go down, I live in a world where I'm worried about the things that nobody sees, right? They're in the room, the mechanical equipment that keeps things cool and stuff, and so, if you go down in the basement of this building, down by across from equalization, and pop your head in there where the pumps and piping is at, you'll see the condition that it is, and it's just tough. And so, if you're going to do a project like this, you don't want to just put a new chiller in and leave the old pumps and piping and air separator and all those things that go along with it, because you want that to be one package so that it'll last, quite a long time. So, and we haven't even talked about the controls. That's a whole nother deal, but that's for another day. So.
That doesn't sound good.
But anyway, go ahead,
I'm
Mike.
just gonna, Jeff talks about the basement, it occurred to me, and Jeff does this every day, but this chiller that we're talking about, you may not visualize or be familiar with what it is. It's the piece of equipment that's the size of a truck or a van that sits on the corner of this building just outside.
Behind the white fence.
So, behind the white fence, before the white fence, so it's a sizable, I don't know if it's 6 foot high by.
Yeah, it's 5 foot by 30 or something.
Yeah, so it's a large, as you kind of put in context, we all can visualize our air conditioner or whatnot at our home, but to think about what goes into this building, that's the piece of equipment. And then to Jeff's comment, the piping is all the piping that's in the basement part of this building. The up here will not be changed, or downstairs, but the basement.
Questions from commissioners? Commissioner Tennyson?
Okay, so obviously it's being overworked. If it's only running at 50% and you got to cool the whole building, that's going to put a lot more stress on it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And it could fail quicker than what?
Yeah, I don't want to be a doomsday guy here, but the reality is it's a 23-year-old piece of equipment that's running half a capacity, so that one compressor that's running, it's going, it's going to tax it. So, that's the reality of it. And so, listen, I don't want to That stuff keeps me awake at night, right, thinking about that, so.
Commissioner Doster?
So I just wanted to understand your request specifically. What are you recommending that we do on this?
So I am requesting up to $220,000 is what the resolution says, correct?
Yes.
To replace this. There's a little bit of contingency, which that's not a lot for a project this size, obviously. But again, the thing is, who can procure a chiller quickly? Because that's the hidden piece. So any of these companies are more than capable of doing this project, and they're proven companies. I do have the most, in full disclosure, I do have the most experience with the Andy J. Egan Company on a large-scale project like this. But Hearst has done it, they've done stuff here before my time. Quality Air, I've worked with them on the control side, so I've worked with all these companies. And they're all capable, but who can get us the main component?
And then if we approve this, you would select the person to do it?
Based on who can get that chiller, that is correct. Yeah.
Okay. And the money comes out of the building rehab fund, is that correct?
That's correct.
And that's sufficient funds for this kind of a purchase?
We do, there's about $2.5 million
All right.
in that, and we've planned for these events. So, yes, finances are there.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Getty?
Speaking of consumers and rebates, are there any incentives out there from consumers
There
for
are.
high efficiency? And
There are, yep, and those will be taken advantage of. And I mentioned not to jump into controls, but there's even more on the control side. But yes, there is, and we take advantage of those.
Thanks.
Thank you, good question.
Mr. Smoker?
Yeah, this is a little bit off, but I'm a yes on this, on the new one. But can you tell me how old the one is across the road?
Oh, for courts of law, it's somewhere around the same, well, no, it's, when the building was built, that's the original one. So that building was what,
1993, I believe, that building was constructed.
Yeah, so that's even older, that cooling tower, yes.
So we may be looking at that down the road shortly too also. Okay.
That will not, yes, we will, that won't quite be the price tag of this, because it's a different system, but yeah, it'll still be, yeah. Thanks.
Commissioner Tennyson?
What about downtime, Jeff? Downtime?
So, yeah, good question. Downtime, they're saying actual downtime, no AC, best at a week, worst at 2 weeks. We'll go in, they'll pipe everything, do everything they can, before they take it down. There's a lot of stuff that they can do, before they take it down, physically lose it, so, yeah.
Okay.
Seems like we want to do it sooner than later, as far as, July.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to wait
August,
till
it's hot,
August and do it in the middle of August, but now, we don't want to get a rental chiller, there are some what we call spot coolers that I can procure and do some things if things get, really crazy, you know what I mean? I mean, we can do this room with a spot cooler, and we can do some things from a temporary perspective, so.
Ice. Fans.
Taking records, and, there's a lot to think about in terms of humidity and heat and records,
Yes.
so.
Statement on the fact that I give Michael credit for looking to the future for these major projects, that he's put money aside for these, that's not going to end up coming right out of the general budget, so.
And that's a good point, too. That's a huge thing. I've been in situations where we've needed something like this, and it hasn't been planned for, so kudos to Michael for that.
Additional questions? Okay, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to spend up to $220,000 for the replacement of a courthouse chiller and associated piping and pumps. Motion by Smelker, support by Getty. Okay. To recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of up to $220,000 for the replacement of the courthouse chiller and all associated pumps. Additional discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thanks for your support.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Jeff.
it. Thank you.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
time for the renewal of our liability, vehicle, physical damage, property crime insurance coverage through MMRMA.
Yes, thank you. The MMRMA is the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Pool, or Association. It is a pool, and this is a request to renew the county's liability, vehicle, property, and crime coverage. MMRMA is a public entity self-insurance pool. It was created in 1980. We are part of that pool. It's a voluntary membership. We could procure all of those insurances on the open market. We have not, and I don't recommend it. The MMRMA specializes in municipal risk management. That's all they do. They provide this coverage to over 300 local government entities, including counties, cities, villages, townships. So the point is that when we have some interesting or unique lawsuit that we need to be covered for, it's highly likely that we're not the first, that they've dealt with this many times and know how to manage us through those situations. So I'm happy to walk you through the proposal or the renewal. The renewal for this year is for $492,442. It is included in the 24 and 25 budgets. It will be included in the 25 budget when we adopt it. It's a July 1, if I remember right, to June 30 timeframe. A copy of the renewal is included. And again, if you'd like, I'll go as deep into this as you'd like. I can walk through page by page all the coverages. It has not changed. Maybe that's the place to start, is the coverages remain the same that as we've had in the past. Something that's often unique or of interest to commissioners is at the second to last page shows a breakdown of our renewal fee. Breaks it down into what part of it represents property, what part is public officials liability, police professional liability, automobile liability, and physical damage. And then the last page shows the previous year's contribution compared to this year's, as well as any RAP grants. RAP are Risk Avoidance Program grants. So MMRMA puts out monies annually that you can apply for to help avoid risk. And you can see a number of them that we've received over the years, as well as then the list of our distributions going back to 2006. Sorry, I'm not speaking into that as clearly as I should. Back to 2006, and those distributions are from excess funds. So MMRMA invests, just like any insurance pool, they have to have reserves. Every year their board determines what their reserve amounts should be, and anything that they have in excess of that, they distribute that back to the member municipalities. We do not have or have not received the 2024 distribution amount yet. You can see the last couple of years it approached 180 and 190,000.
Okay. That's an interesting final page there, only because it points out 37 police and patrol vehicles, 17 trucks that the county owns? Or are those
yes, so
through like...
those would be, no, the road commission is not included in this, but transit is.
Okay, transit, that's what I was going to say, 19 buses would be transit then as well.
Yep, so transit is part of this policy. The health department would not be part of the policy. The road commission would not be part of this coverage. Trying to think if there's anybody else. Commission on Aging would, Parks and Recreation is.
Okay. Okay, questions from commissioners? I'm happy that it didn't jump up more than 11,000 this year, because it's been some pretty stiff increases over the years in this, seeing this year over year, so.
Yeah, it has been.
What's going on in insurance?
Right.
This year, it's 2.3%. The one that we're concerned about is of course, cyber security. And that's just that has been driving cost significantly, and MMRMA has attempted to stay on the front end of that and have good coverage. So, but yeah, it's nice to see that it's stabilized at 2.3% instead of 4 or 5 or 6.
Yeah, it looks like police professional liability is one of the other things that's driving cost on that too. I mean, that's one of the highest categories in that statement, so. But
In MMRMA, I know that the Sheriff's Department takes advantage to the degree that they can, but to your point, MMRMA provides constant training, and particularly in the police area. So that's another that MMRMA specializes in, that just the open market might not have that experience with training officers and deputies on use of force, and as such to try to avoid those high dollar claims.
Okay. Standard contract, we see this every year at this time for renewal on this, so any additional questions or discussion? Okay, Chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the renewal of the liability, vehicle physical damage, and property and crime insurance coverage through Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority for a period of July 1st, 2024 to July 1st, 2025 in the amount of $492,442, and authorize a member representative to sign the agreement.
So moved. Hatfield.
Support.
Motion by Hatfield, supported by Tunison, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the renewal of liability, vehicle physical damage, and property and crime insurance coverage through Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority for a period of July 1st, 2024 through July 1st, 2025 in the amount of $492,442, and authorize a member representative to sign the agreement. Additional discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Michael. Executive search schedule.
Yeah, Ryan, you want to come up and join me? So I've got a quick handout. Grab my pass. So this is the search schedule, if you recall, and for those that may not remember, Ryan Cotton with GovHR, leading our recruitment. I know that he's started to meet with folks to conduct stakeholder interviews, so I appreciate everybody's that has been asked or included involvement in that process. That's highly important so that he has a sense of our community as he reaches out to candidates. But you'll recall when Ryan met with us back on May 21st to kind of kick off the process, he handed out 2 documents. One was this draft schedule, although I have added the yellow highlighting, Ryan, here's one for you, as well as the red commentary, if you may. So Ryan met with us, as you recall, on the 21st of May. That kicked off the process. The job announcement, and Ryan, if I'm taking your, I apologize.
Keep going.
The job announcement was posted the 29th, so that preliminary, if you may, the one-page announcement has been posted and is out on the street, so to say. Ryan has begun stakeholder interviews this week. we're supposed to then get a draft of the recruitment brochure, the full brochure, midweek, and Ryan has a turnaround date of the end of the week. So I anticipate that brochure will tie off of the preliminary description, if you may, and the thought is, unless the board has otherwise, is that Dave Jackson, Dave Hatfield, and I would do the final review so that that can get out for distribution, and that will be the official brochure that would go out, recruitment brochure. And then we get to the 28th, and that's where the first kind of review, or GovHR will do their due diligence review of the candidates that have applied. What really becomes important is that it's my understanding in talking with Ryan that the brochure that goes out, again, ideally at the end of this week, that recruitment brochure will include two critical dates, first interviews and second interviews, and we need to pin that down. We have, or at least Ryan had identified in the initial calendar, that first interviews would be conducted Friday, July 19th. And as you'll see that in talking with Ryan, anticipate that would be a 4 to 6 hour session. You would have 4 to 6 candidates that you would ideally interview. And then the second date that needs to go into that brochure would be the second interviews. That would also be in front of the full Board of Commissioners and anticipate about 1 to 3 hours. That currently is identified as Tuesday, July 23rd. Now, something to consider there is that that's also a Board of Commissioners Day. I suspect we will have the audit, if is my calendar right? Yeah, because the 30th is a 5th Tuesday, so that'll be that we would have the audit presented. So you have general business to do. We could combine the two, but you may not want to also. So what I'm really here today is, or Ryan and I are here today, is to, while everybody's here, try to determine what dates work for everybody for conducting first and second interviews. I'm going to set that aside for just a minute, and there is a third date that's important, and that you'll notice on Friday, July 12th, at least under this schedule, Ryan will distribute to you what's called an electronic book. That will be 8 to 14 candidates and about 100 to 200 pages, is my understanding, that you will receive confidentially, that you'll review, and then potentially at the Tuesday, July 16th Board of Commissioners meeting, nope, that's a cow date, Committee of the Whole, go into closed session to review that with Ryan and discuss what 4 to 6 candidates you would want to interview. So there's three dates that you will, right now it's Tuesday, July 16th, Friday, July 19th, and Tuesday, July 23rd. And ideally, we'd like to pin those down while there's time right between now and that way. Somebody had asked me, boy, that's a quick turnaround between Tuesday the 16th, no, Friday the 19th and Tuesday the 23rd for candidates to try to get them around. And Ryan indicated what we do is just make everybody aware right up front. These are the dates. That way, we don't have to worry about those schedules again. Everybody knows it right up front. Ryan, have I missed anything?
I'd just like to underscore that point. We put it in the recruitment brochure. I mention it in every meeting I have with candidates.
reserve these dates. If you're in the list, you're going to want to be available because that's when the commission is available. So it is important to nail them down now. And obviously, if those dates don't work, for everyone, then we need to talk about what dates do work, and that, make sure that fits into my calendar as well, because, we want to make sure that everyone can be there that has to be there.
Commissioners, I don't know if you have your calendars in front of you, you know what your vacation schedules are for the summer, for the month of July especially, but we would like to publish these dates in the recruitment brochure. So are there any questions or concerns? Commissioner Gay?
I have an unavoidable absence on the 23rd.
On the 23rd. Second interviews, okay. Any other schedule conflicts?
And Catherine, is it just the 23rd, or is there a period, because I also know
It's that week.
the week of the 22nd.
Okay.
Because I know the fair week is the week of the 15th. I don't know how that complicates things. And then I know Ryan indicated that he's not available the 26th to the 31st.
Because we can't screw this up.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Colton?
So I'm good for July 23rd. I'd like to avoid July 19th because I work that day, but I mean, if everyone else says that really needs to be done, I'll just take the day off work. I try to do things on Tuesday, Thursday, if possible.
Mr. Chair, we have a conflict with the health department meeting on the 19th, but we can see if we can get that moved.
Friday, July 19th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or we could do it later that day or something.
Pardon?
We could do it later that day. I mean, it wouldn't.
Yeah, right, we
that-
wouldn't have to do it.
Is that at Charlotte
Yeah,
or?
that's Charlotte. We won't be back
Yeah.
till 2:30, 3 o'clock.
And that could be 4 to 6 hours of interviews.
Right.
That'll be a long day. Is it possible to move the health board?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
assuming if we...
They've moved them before.
Yeah.
With notice.
Yeah, with notice, I'm assuming we could get that moved.
It's just difficult because, whenever you do any kind of schedule changes, what happens there is what happens, what's happening here.
Right.
Is that there's just a
If
whole
you did-
cascading
Well, we
effect.
just did it last month.
The 19th.
We had it on
We had,
Thursday.
well, yeah,
Is
we
that
had.
too far?
Because
well
it's
in advance.
Memorial Day.
Yep.
Is there a problem with
Is
that?
there any
Not too far apart.
Any possibility to doing it the first week in August and just doing both interviews that week? Doing it early and later that week?
Evening.
I believe we are in Hastings that day, not in Charlotte.
So now they're looking
Is
at,
that what you're saying? I'm saying.
That's it, you're saying it's in
I believe we're in
Hastings?
Hastings that day.
I mean, then we could,
Yeah, we got, this month will be in Charlotte.
Yeah, this month we're Charlotte.
What days did you say Ryan was not
We'll
available?
be back in.
the 26th
We'll be back in-
through the 31st
Right.
of July.
July.
Right, and August 1st in the afternoon is when I am available, starting then.
Oh, yeah, sorry, my calendar, it's actually the 26th through the 1st. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm sure we could make a move on that health department board meeting. This seems, I don't want to say much more important, but it's very important.
Yeah, and am I hearing that everybody is available on the 19th? Catherine's not available on the 23rd, but she would have been through the first interviews and would probably have a pretty good opinion on what you would like to do moving forward. Ryan, how many candidates would we're going to interview, you would say 4 to 6 candidates for the first interviews, narrow that down to somewhere between 1 or 2 or 1 to 3 for second interviews?
1 to 3, 2 is ideal, 3 is even a little better.
Okay. Hopefully, we have those great choices, right?
Well, we have 6 candidates now, and the majority are good choices.
Fantastic.
I know some of them, and there's others, of course, we're working with that we don't know, but we want to make sure the word is out. So we had 1,300 reviews, not reviews, but looks on LinkedIn so far.
Okay. Catherine, is that acceptable? If you're gone that week, but we do second interviews on the 23rd? Commissioners? We stick with that schedule? Okay. Because that gives us literally 30 days then from going from a conditional offer and that transition period from when, Michael, you're scheduled, your last day is scheduled around August 31st, or
End of August,
end of
yeah.
August, okay?
Yeah, so the 31st, the 30th is the Friday.
So the 30th would probably be your last day,
Yeah.
unless you want to work Saturday for us one last time. So, yeah.
I said my phone's not changing, so I will, and I'm living in town, so I'll always be available.
Okay. I don't think we need a vote on this. This is just by consensus, by agreement, that we can go forward with that schedule.
I don't know, I'd feel comfortable doing a vote on, because they have to rely on these dates, they're gonna publish them. I would make a motion to adopt this schedule going forward for the county administrative executive search.
Motion by Doster, support by Hatfield for adoption of the county administrator executive search calendar. Additional discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have a schedule.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, will you be available after the meeting? You're going to be here today?
I am. I have an appointment at 10:30, 11, and
10, I think.
and 10 if you're done, and then noon.
All right, perfect.
I think this
Mr.
is it.
Chairman,
This is it?
Commissioner Campbell?
would it be possible, I know Commissioner Getty's not going to be there, that's a very important session. Possibly she could put some written comments in or something that, to you or something, and just as to her direction.
Absolutely.
Very valuable commissioner comments.
Nope. I would
I
appreciate
plan to
that.
tune in, so I'll watch, but I can't vote and participate, but I'll certainly be watching closely. Thank you.
Yeah, just concerned with maybe some written comments on, you're going to have an opportunity to see where they are. Appreciate it.
Okay, so it'll be fairly quiet until we hit July 12th when the electronic book hits. So a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on with you vetting candidates, prospects, and then July 12th, it'll be very busy for that month for us then. Good to know. Okay. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Michael. Limited public comment. This time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Yeah. I didn't know if I got it in time or not. Yeah, I'm Jerry Greenfield. I live at 1838 South Broadway. I wonder if the county is going to spray for the gypsy moths and kill them. They're eating up the trees, literally. 70-foot trees are getting stripped down. And in the past, you've sprayed for it. So I've been to the DNR. I've been across the street to the MSU. Everybody says you are the ones that are responsible.
Interesting. Okay.
So I wonder, are you gonna spray? Now, some other counties already have.
We don't typically respond to public comment, but how about if I address that in commissioner comments here in just a minute?
Okay,
We'll
thank
talk
you.
about that. Yep. Thank you. And yes, we have heard several calls and complaints about the gypsy moths this year. The spongy moths. Don't want to be corrected. So.
Don't put this on the gypsies.
Good morning.
Reference maintenance guy Jeff over there. It's about time. Yeah, really, that's good news. You guys are actually replacing all that. That's old and needed to be done. So, good call. How many of you guys knew, I'm gonna change topic here, how many of you guys knew the Orangeville Dam was repaired by inmate labor? It was back, probably 18 years ago, something like that. And I go out there now and I see a slide on there. Is this on?
Doesn't seem like.
Okay, all right. Now there's a slide on there where the kids go climb up on it, will slide down in the water and everything. It's a big, it's spot where the kids go cool off in the summertime and stuff like that. And, I have one more thing, I can't remember what that is now. So, other than that, I do agree with Ben, you guys have done a great job this year. It's good to see Ben, and, he's teaching now at Lakewood High School, so, if you guys can wish him well there. That's always a tough job, but, I think he'll thrive in it, so. I had one more thing, what was that?
I can't remember, can you?
Can't remember either. Thanks. All right, with that, I'll take off. Thanks.
Thank you. Additional public comment? Okay. Commissioner comments, Commissioner Doster.
I've had some discussions with Jamie Lewis Hedges from the Conservation Board regarding the gypsy moths, the spongy moths. And the first step, if we were to try to go forward, would be to have a survey done. And we're looking at, we're going to have a board meeting, I think, next week, that I can bring it before, that we're going to discuss it further on that board. I think Jamie and I will probably put a request for an agenda item before this board. It looks like an expenditure of about $15,000 to have a survey done. The treatment itself is quite expensive, and it's always been paid for by special assessments in the past. The county itself doesn't pay for those. They're then designated to the people who receive benefit of that. His preliminary look at costs, in order to do a county-wide treatment would be like around $8.6 million, it's believed. Most of these counties do considerably less areas of treatment, areas primarily like around lakes where there are large amounts of wooded area, where people are more willing to pay for an assessment in those cases. And those, you know, if you had certain areas that you could designate for treatment, I personally would like to see us at least try one of these or areas for this next year for the board. The survey would be 1 year to designate the areas. There's a very small window of opportunity of when you can do the treatment. It would be for next year. To see how effective it is. And also, I think the survey is important just to map historically how bad is it and what areas are being affected. I think the knowledge that we would gain from that would be very helpful for in the future. There are areas in Kent County that treated 2 years that we've been watching now. There's fairly small areas, actually, 1,000 to 2,000 acre type parcels. It was quite expensive the first year. The second year was only about 1/10 of the cost. So they think that these treatments actually are producing some benefit, significant benefit. So I would like the board to look at that, and we'll see if we can get a request before you for funding of a survey.
Yeah, and I think to answer the gentleman's question who made the public comment that we've been told from various sources that it's too late to spray this year, that you have to set up. These are all done through private contractors, and these private contractors are booked months in advance, and we're so deep in the cycle right now that the spraying wouldn't do any good this year. So what you're proposing is doing a survey to find out where the egg masses are and where the concentrations are, and then map that and decide, because the other side of this is when we did triple E spraying for the mosquitoes, there was a lot of concern and a lot of pushback on pollinators, you know, for bees and butterflies and stuff like that. People were very opposed to spraying. So when you're spraying out of helicopters or airplanes, massive areas like that, we have to see where the concentrations are and what the area is, but you are correct. Countywide spraying would be right around that $8 to $9 million range. The county has done spraying, I think, in the late 90s and in the middle 2000s, I think, from Mike Chamberlain from Yankee Springs had forwarded some information to us as well on when we had actually done some spraying on that, but the cost has gone up astronomically since then, so it's very expensive and would have to be focused on the areas that are worst hit. But I agree with the concept that there is an issue right now. And I think when Jamie was here a month or so ago, we talked about that this is a peak. We're into the peak cycle where at some point they literally get a virus or something and it kills them off, and then they're almost unnoticeable for 3, 4, 5 years, and then they start coming back like they are now, where they're at the peak of the cycle. Whether this is the end or whether there'll be more next year, we don't know yet, but we can certainly bring Jamie in and have that discussion as well, so.
I think we need to, Mr. Chair, because I was at Yankee Springs, driving down Yankee Springs Road. The trees are decimated out there. I drive this county for years and years and years, and I've never seen it as bad as it is right now. No matter where you go, you see all that stuff laying on the road, that the trees are being, defoliated, basically.
And I think Jamie had mentioned, and there was a news report online too, I think it was on News 8, that said that these trees, if they're healthy, will recover from this defoliation, but it's just we're at the top of this cycle right now, so it is bad at this point. So we agree with your comments. So, but it'll be good to have a plan and look into that, and maybe we can learn from the past and see what they've done in the past. So, moving forward, so we'd support that idea.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Carlton.
I partnered with the National VFW for their Swiss steak dinner this last Friday, and it was very successful. We ran out of some things, and thankfully we have a Dollar General across the street, and I was the fetch it boy, since I was the lowest skilled person there. That I was delegated to busing and fetching stuff, but it was a great turnout. I have a question for Bruce, because you're part of the Delton. You're the president, aren't you, of the commander of the Delton VFW. How many VFWs are within the county?
To my knowledge, just Nashville and Delton. Hastings does not have a VFW.
Hastings does. South of town, don't they?
That's Legion.
Oh, the Legion, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Them are the only 2 VFWs that I know of in District 8. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Commissioner Getty.
Everybody got a copy of this? This is, reading through it, we paid close attention when the Parks was designing the trail in Nashville and at Thornapple Manor. And this just brings attention to how important building accessibility into all of our projects so that everyone has access to be able to use sidewalks and trailways. So if you have a chance, open that up. Sometimes I think that those aren't very useful when we get them in our mailbox, but this article is particularly informative.
Awesome, thank you. Commissioner Smelker.
I have nothing.
Commissioner Hatfield. Commissioner Campbell.
I just wanted to comment that Saturday we attended, along with Chairman Jackson and Commissioner Carlton, the groundbreaking ceremonies at the Spring Creek Agri-Energy Center, which is the old Halbert farm down on 37 before you get to Bedford. Just some amazing stuff going on there. Their groundbreaking is for a biodigester, which basically takes the waste from the cattle and turns it into something productive instead of having to dump it all onto our fields. This is expected to heat more than 1,000 homes per year. It's equivalent to 4,000 cars off the road, and capable of powering up to 25,000 homes with the solar project that's attached to this. The partners in it was Swiss Lane Farms, SKS Development, and Myron Construction Company Incorporated. It's going to be an interesting project. It's kind of a cutting-edge project. We're putting Michigan on the map with this leadership of trying to figure out how to save Mother Earth, and that's basically what we're doing. So, thank you.
Great event. Commissioner Tennyson.
last week Commissioner Getty and Hatfield and I were up at the Commission on Aging, and, well, some of the discussion was about the upcoming support of the millage renewal. And I took, a lot of things I took away from that was that, you know, since 1974, we've been supporting the seniors of this community. And I was really quite taken back by the effort that they put into keeping elderly in their homes for as long as they possibly can. And that was stressed a lot. And I really appreciate what they do up there, and we need to support this upcoming renewal that's coming up in August. So.
Thank you. And just on a closing note, we met last week in closed session, went over a draft ordinance for solar. The board approved to release that draft ordinance, and I know Jim's not here this morning, but I think that was sent out to all local units of government. Consumers Energy should have been included in that as well. If anybody did not get a copy of that draft ordinance and like to see it, let us know. We'll be sure that we get one to you. Yes, sir.
We had a planning commission meeting last week, and Jim did confirm that those have all gone out.
They have all gone out, okay. So I'll be making some phone calls and hopefully getting a chance to talk to Johnstown Township and Kelly Case with the citizen-led committee, and I know at some point we'll get input from consumers. We've asked for all local units of government who are interested in giving us feedback to do so no later than June 14th. Then we'll consolidate those comments and have a further discussion on that if we need to amend, update, or revise the draft. So, before it goes to Planning Commission for approval. So, thank you for coming. It's a beautiful day in Berry County, 85 degrees today. Oh, go ahead.
I misspoke on what date that was. That was on May 30th, and it was on a Thursday, not a Saturday. I just wanted to correct that.
What's that?
For the biodigester groundbreaking.
It was on Thursday.
It was on Thursday.
Yeah.
Every day's a Saturday when you're retired.
When you're retired, that's right. It all feels like Saturday, so I will accept that and hopefully someday resemble that remark. So, have a great day. Thank you for coming.